Hello everyone, and welcome back to our channel, where we bring you deep dives into South Africa's political landscape and the conversations shaping our democracy. Today, we are unpacking a surprising but important development: President Cyril Ramaphosa's recent revelation that he had a conversation with former United States President Donald Trump about South Africa's transformation policies. Now, this might come as a shock to some. Ramaphosa speaking directly to Trump. That's not something we hear every day. But it's true, and it speaks volumes about how South Africa is trying to position itself globally, especially when it comes to explaining its internal policies to the world. In Ramaphosa's own words, "I have spoken to my United States counterpart, Donald Trump, about South African policies in relation to transformation." Let's dig into what this really means. Transformation in South Africa isn't just a buzzword. It's the heart of the country's efforts to reverse the deep scars left by apartheid. It's about land reform, economic inclusion, affirmative action, black economic empowerment, all designed to give historically disadvantaged South Africans a fair shot at prosperity. And yet, these policies often attract criticism or misunderstanding, particularly from outside the country, where people don't always grasp the context or history. During his presidency, Donald Trump made headlines when he tweeted about farm seizures and large-scale killing of farmers in South Africa, a claim that echoed right-wing conspiracy theories with little evidence to back them up. That tweet stirred diplomatic tensions and created the impression that South Africa's land reform efforts were reckless and racially motivated. So, the fact that Ramaphosa says he spoke directly to Trump about transformation is significant. It suggests that, behind the scenes, there were efforts to counteract this narrative and to clarify what South Africa's policies are really about. This kind of diplomatic engagement is vital. In an interconnected world, perceptions matter. South Africa relies heavily on foreign investment, international partnerships, and global goodwill. When powerful leaders like Trump misunderstand or misrepresent our policies, it can lead to real-world consequences, from withdrawn investments to damaged reputations. Ramaphosa reaching out to Trump is not just a gesture, it's an attempt to protect South Africa's image and assert control over its narrative. But it also highlights another reality: South Africa's transformation agenda is under constant international scrutiny. Some countries see it as a model for inclusive growth. Others view it with skepticism, especially when it comes to land reform or economic redress. For Ramaphosa to be proactive in these conversations shows that he understands the stakes. He knows that if South Africa doesn't tell its own story, others will tell it for us, and often, not accurately. This isn't just about defending policy. It's about owning our transformation journey. Ramaphosa's conversation with Trump sends a message to the world: we are not ashamed of our past or our efforts to correct it. Yes, transformation is complex. Yes, it's messy. But it's necessary. It's a process that acknowledges the harm done under apartheid and aims to build a society that works for all, not just the privileged few. Now, this openness to dialogue also says something about Ramaphosa's leadership style. He's often criticized for being too cautious or slow to act. But here, we see a leader willing to engage, even with difficult counterparts, to represent South Africa's interests. That takes a certain kind of political courage, especially when the international audience might not be sympathetic. It also suggests that the presidency is aware of the power of perception. Mentioning this conversation publicly wasn't an accident. Ramaphosa wanted South Africans to know that he's doing the diplomatic legwork. He's not just staying silent while foreign powers speculate or distort the truth. He's actively working to ensure that our policies are understood, even respected, on the world stage. Of course, this raises another question: why now? Why reveal this conversation at this moment? Well, South Africa is once again under global observation. The 2024 elections have drawn renewed attention to our democracy, our challenges, and our progress. With rising political tensions, a growing youth vote, and a reconfigured political landscape, it's more important than ever for the world to understand where we are coming from and where we are headed. By highlighting this discussion with Trump, Ramaphosa is also signaling to investors and allies that South Africa is a country with a plan, not a nation stumbling through economic redress blindly. He's saying, yes, we have unique policies, but they are grounded in justice and democratic principles. We're not perfect, but we're trying to build a fairer society. At the same time, the president's comments are also directed inward, to South Africans themselves. He's reminding the public that the government is not folding under international pressure. That it's standing firm on transformation, despite the critics. And perhaps, he's trying to reassure South Africans who feel the process is too slow or too compromised that there is still a commitment at the highest level. But let's not forget, transformation is not just a government issue. It affects education, employment, health, and housing. It's about who gets contracts, who gets hired, who owns land, and who gets to participate fully in the economy. These are deep, structural issues that can't be resolved overnight. And that's why international support, or at least understanding, is so important. So what does this conversation between Ramaphosa and Trump ultimately teach us? First, that international diplomacy is more complex than it looks. Public statements are one thing, private conversations are another. Behind closed doors, leaders are often trying to correct misinformation and build bridges, even when they strongly disagree. Second, it reminds us that South Africa's transformation journey is not just national, it's part of a global conversation about justice, equity, and reparative policies. And third, it shows that leadership is sometimes about quiet, steady engagement, not just bold public declarations. Ramaphosa may not always be the loudest voice, but in this case, his actions speak clearly. He's taking South Africa's story to the world, and he's not backing down from it. So, what do you think about this? Do you believe Ramaphosa is doing enough to explain our policies on the global stage? Was speaking to Trump a good move, or was it just symbolic? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video if you found it informative, subscribe to the channel for more in-depth political analysis, and hit that bell so you never miss an update. Thanks for watching, and as always, see you next time.